to look at the person. So that but then you realize that the person would think that you're being rude because I'm not looking at you.
So how do we fix that? Because it would help you if you didn't look, and it would help the person if you look.
If you look.
So how do we do to address that?
Don't look constantly.
Don't look
constantly. Have a conversation about it. Okay, I am listening to you. I listen better when I look into a space. It works, and I promise you I am listening to you. Make the person comfortable with the fact that you are not looking at them. Okay?
Okay, right.
So that you sell the benefit of that, so it works.
Right.
Have the conversations that matter. These things matter. Yes.
So that was the first point, because you couldn't establish that. So I ended up here gazing in this guy's eyes. And I'm here saying, you know, I really not have to do this, but I don't want him to believe that I'm not listening. Then the other thing that I noticed is that his story was compelling because I bought into it because I had the same problem. So I felt a little left out when he didn't give me the solution.
Again, because your story, you're listening for your story and not his.
I heard his story because I could give him back his story. But I felt, you know, when you asked me what I was listening for, I was listening for the answer. And I didn't get it. And it kind of had me then a little upset. I have to be truthful. So I said to him, but I thought you didn't give me the answer too. Because I had an expectation, because I bought in too much to his story.
So again,
no, you didn't get to his story. You were busy with your story out of his story.
All right. So again, valuable lesson in there. It is really hard when the story hits home.
Oh, yes.
For you to keep in the listening. But how do you keep in the listening then? Who do you care about most in that moment?
The person.
That's it. That's the question to ask yourself. Who do I care about more? Not that you don't care about yourself. Notice the term I use. Who do I care about most in this moment? And in that moment, trust me, you're going to care a lot for yourself. The moment you allow the other person to be themselves, you're actually allowing yourself to grow. Caring and compassion is one of the greatest gifts you can give to someone else and yourself at the same time. Right? So let them share. Empathy, we're told, you know, empathy means you kind of fit yourself into the other person's shoe. It can become dangerous. Because when you become in that person's shoe, that person's story becomes your story, and you kind of get locked into it. So now both of you going down the same stream, holding on to the same lock. Who's saving who?
The cry help double harder.
Yeah, you might hear more noise now. So again, so be careful how you get locked into, because you want to be there to share. Francis, you have a little concern. I saw you knitted my brow, so.
And then you start getting vexed with her person who she has a problem, you know?
Yes. Then yes, you got to translate it to the other person that didn't even hear the conversation, right? Yes. Francis.
No, I was just listening and thinking. You said, you know, be careful with empathy.
Too much.
Yeah, but it's just so important to empathize and to really understand where they're coming from. Otherwise, you can't listen and you can't help and you can't do anything. You can't, like, I think Sophia was empathizing too much. That's the point I was trying to.
That's why I said be careful with how much of it you because the idea behind empathy is that you, in your being there for the person, they in your message to them is that I understand. That's basically it. It doesn't necessarily mean that, because in the moment that you understand with somebody, you could actually tell them, because you are not wrapped up in it, you could tell them straight and plain, I don't support the action that you decided to take. But when you get too wrapped up into empathy, you keep quiet. And silence is agreement. Like it or not. So because you're so sorry, because the top point where empathy becomes sympathy, that's the little danger zone I'm talking about. I agree with you. Start understanding does start with empathy. But don't let it be then turn against you because you don't want to be honest and open to the person. Because, you know, you're a friend and I don't really want to hurt their feelings, but that you're not really being a friend if you're not telling the person the truth. Even if in that moment they're going to be upset with you.
Yeah. But you must fully understand where they're coming from.
So yes, thanks for clarifying that. But we know at what, in real life, we know at what point it starts to get too much. Yes.
As a listener, I started becoming analytical, where I figured I could fix this. And so, as he was speaking, you're working out in your mind, there are just these 3 or 4 things that you can do to get this right. And so that, it was not quite a distraction, but I wanted to hear some more details that would help me to make sure that my prescription and remedy that I was going to tell him.
That he didn't ask for, by the way. That he didn't ask for. Excellent. Stand up, stand up. Stand up. You know, one of us, I do it, we do it. Anybody else say they don't do this? Yeah. We all do it because that's just how, because sometimes once for somebody comes to your feet, they're coming to you for the solution. And you have this responsibility to give them a solution. So sometimes all you need to do is to ask, what is this doing? What is this doing for you? Pack it in there. Because especially with husbands and wives, wives complain that they don't want the husband to fix anything, they just want them to listen.
And that don't make sense.
Well, then listen. So the husband listens. And then you don't say anything.
Please explain that.
Please explain that.
Really peaceful and listening and communicating. Now, my own come to Toastmasters and we say we have communication and leadership. I am yet to see it transferred into our lives. We come to club and we practice really good and pat ourselves on the back. When we go back into our everyday lives, we refuse to listen. We refuse to allow the other people to speak openly and honestly and leave it where it's at. Right? So, but I'm hoping that after today, I will grow in my listening and you too will grow in your listening. And remember, your listening is allowing the other person to grow. That's all it is. If they do ask you, and one of the things too is that some people set you up to I want your advice. Trust me, don't want your advice. Alright? So my thing is, when somebody says that to me, so I think it's so that means you have something in mind to do and you want somebody to take it up. Is that what you're coming to me about? No. I just want to get it clear. So immediately they become a little more honest about it. Because people come to you advice, they already have something they want to do.
Yeah.
They're not really confused. They're just
Coming for ratification,
All right?
We want to be ratified.
Marlene, I've been fortunate to have some exposure to something that's called reevaluation counseling, RC. And in reevaluation counseling, you are called upon to give the person that is speaking to you what we call delightful attention. Because all of us need, there's a deficit in most of our lives of delightful attention. And I just wanted to say that listening, when we say listening, that listening is not just about hearing what the person is saying, but it is about really giving that other person delightful attention that will make them feel comfortably enough to continue to share. Because remember that they are wrestling as well with the culpability of the language in terms of articulating what they really want to say. So I just wanted to re-emphasize the point that it is that communication is both verbal and non-verbal, and as a result of that, listening requires a lot of attention on the non-verbal, the body language and so on that is taking place. And I observed in most of the situations that people sat side by side, which at the level of body language and communication is much more powerful than confrontational at a body language level. Whereas side by side, when you sit at somebody's side, you are saying non-verbally, I am on your side. And that